Alright guys, welcome back to 8-Bit Politics. Today we are actually going to do a response video to BlackB0nd. I'm sure most of my subscribers are familiar with BlackB0nd and know who he is. They probably also know that he's part of the Weapon Wheel podcast. I'm sure a few of my viewers are familiar with that podcast. And if you're familiar enough with them, you would know that the people in the Weapon Wheel podcast actually have a history of race baiting. So it's no shocker that BlackB0nd makes a video talking about how everybody who defended PewDiePie is a racist. So, this isn't a shocker, right? This isn't... when I saw the video, I wasn't like, oh my god, BlackB0nd said that all people who defended PewDiePie are... No, it's not a surprise because everybody in the Weapon Wheel podcast, from BlackB0nd to Hard 8 Times to BG, they all have a history of race baiting. I remember a few years back in like I think it was 2014, Hard 8 made a video talking about how the reason why he's not a big YouTuber, why his channel isn't huge, is because he's black. If he wasn't black, he would have a bigger channel than he does now. So, yeah, these people have a history of using their race to kind of serve as an explanation for their shortcomings in life, pretty much. These people have a history of doing that. So it's no shocker that this video is made, but I was still just, what's the word to describe the way I felt after I watched that video? Just amazed by the stupidity, I guess. So we're gonna play this bit by bit, and we're gonna share our thoughts. So without further ado, let's begin.
You stupid fucking ninja. You stupid fucking nib. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
And this is him just playing back the... Yeah. Playing back
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's PewDiePie on 2 different occasions dropping the N-bomb. Now, before I get started, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm a saint. I'm not going to sit up here and lie and say that I've never said anything offensive. But one thing I don't do is call people racial slurs. People, it is 2017.
It's the current year.
And yet, people still act as if they are confused on why you don't use a racial slur. You guys need to stop acting dumb and stop pretending like you don't already know. Because if you truly think it's cool and acceptable to go out and use racial slurs, then I implore you to walk into your place of employment and use them. But we know none of you cowards will do that because you know, even if you pretend not to, exactly what will happen if you do. You'll be fired. Now, I know a lot of people are upset with PewDiePie, not whether it's for setting a bad example for children, making gamers look bad.
Oh, give me a break. He's making gamers look bad because he said one off-color thing on a live stream. Give me a break. Seriously. Like, you people are blowing this whole PewDiePie issue way out of proportion. You seriously are. Like, everyone and their mother are commenting about this, and most of the people are like, oh, yeah, you know, it's totally unacceptable that PewDiePie would say such a thing. Like, all these YouTubers, you know, because they're trying to, like, kind of disavow PewDiePie and be like, oh, I don't want to be associated with PewDiePie. PewDiePie, what he said was wrong, and he needs to answer for what he said. Yeah. So most of these people are cucks. Like they're not willing to face reality, and the reality is that PewDiePie is not a racist. It's funny in this video. BlackB0nd, the whole. The thumbnail of this video is PewDiePie, a picture of PewDiePie, and big red letters, racist. PewDiePie is a racist. Well, we'll cover that later, but this is obviously a very ridiculous thing to say. Yes, he said the N-word. He said, you know, whether or not he should have said it is debatable, but whether or not it's a huge deal, that's another conversation because it isn't. It's not. I'm sorry to say, but it's not. You know, you're going on talking about how, well, if you went out and said the N-word in real life, then you'd get fired. Well, this is the fucking internet. This is video games. Video games are not real life. I'm sorry to break it to you, but they're not real life. Video games and real life are two completely different entities. They're not related to each other at all. So to say that, well, if you said the N-word at work, you'd get fired. Okay, and what does that have to do with any of this? It's someone saying the N-word in a live stream. Oh, my God. So what? Who cares?
Creating the adpocalypse that's pretty much screwed everyone here on YouTube, but...
How did PewDiePie create the adpocalypse? No, seriously, I really don't know. How did PewDiePie create the adpocalypse? Citation needed.
What really gets me is not the fact that he used a word as an insult on multiple occasions, but the fact we have so many people defending this. We have people actually defending the use of a racial slur.
Because it's not a big deal. Okay, it might be a big deal to you. You might personally be offended by it, but I promise you, it's not as serious as you think it is, okay? It's a video game, bro. It's video games. Video games and real life are two completely different things. Someone saying an offensive word while they're playing a game, and who cares? Who the hell cares? Why should this be a whole fucking big deal? I still don't understand why this is such a controversial thing, what PewDiePie said. I'm really dumbfounded by this, honestly. And let's just continue with this bullshit.
Not only did this man say something stupid, this man is a racist.
Okay, let's talk about this right now. PewDiePie is a racist. Okay. You ever know the saying, actions speak louder than words? So PewDiePie said the N-word, right? And because he's used that word, then he is a racist. But actions speak louder than words. He has donated a shit ton of money to giving clean drinking water to children in Africa. So if he was truly a racist, if he truly hated black people, why would he donate so much money to help them? He's done more for black people than honestly any of you people criticizing him have ever done and ever will do in your lives. So to criticize PewDiePie, to call PewDiePie out for being a racist is absurd. It's absurd. He could have donated to so many other different causes to say, oh, well, he just wanted to have a good image. Okay, why didn't he just donate to St. Jude's or some cancer hospital? Out of all the different charities he could have chosen to donate to, why did he choose to donate to helping African children getting clean drinking water? Why? Would a racist really do that? Did David Duke ever donate clean drinking water to children in Africa? Did all these white supremacists, well-known white supremacists, ever do anything like that? So to group PewDiePie among these people is absurd. And it's ridiculous.
A racist who almost single-handedly has created a situation that prevents you from earning extra money.
And again, well, where'd you get this from? The adpocalypse has been going on for at least a year. And are you referring to the whole the last controversy PewDiePie was involved in with the anti-Semitic shit? PewDiePie is one person, okay? Blaming one person for YouTube's shitty policies is just completely ridiculous and just shows how little you know about how this whole thing works.
And yet, a lot of people are not only cool with this racism, they're cool with him creating a situation that has taken food off their plate.
Citation needed.
Like, the only way to describe you people is your cucks. There's no other word to describe you.
Okay.
But, you know, what happens next? You get all these idiots talking about free speech, free speech, free speech, and yet they know absolutely nothing about free speech. Look.
And how do you reckon that they know absolutely nothing about free speech? The only reason why people are complaining about free speech isn't because people were reacting to the way PewDiePie to what PewDiePie said. No, if you say something this includes me, by the way. All right, if I say something that people don't like, which obviously has happened before, and I get a lot of negative reception from people, and people react to me in a bad way. And no, that's not a violation of freedom of speech, is getting attacked by people. What violation of freedom of speech is the Firewatch developers making false DMCA claims against PewDiePie's video because they do not agree with PewDiePie. Well, obviously, no, like, okay. They do not like one thing that PewDiePie said, so they want to censor PewDiePie. Remove all of the videos of PewDiePie playing Firewatch. That's why people are complaining about free speech. And they have every right to, because fair use is in play with PewDiePie's videos. There hasn't been a single case where PewDiePie has actually breached fair use. So yes, when people are complaining about free speech, they actually have a reason to, because the Firewatch developers, fucking Sean Vanneman, that piece of shit, had the balls to claim authority over who gets to play his games and who doesn't get to play his games, and who gets to stream his games and who doesn't get to stream his games. It's a clear violation of fair use. If PewDiePie wanted to, he could easily win a lawsuit. He could easily lawyer up, easily win. The Firewatch team would have absolutely no case against PewDiePie, especially when they openly advertise that streamers are welcome. Streamers are welcome. We love streamers. Streamers playing our game is great. So with that, and the fact that no matter what it is, I mean, someone could sue Nintendo too with the shit that they're doing, claiming everyone's videos. It's a clear violation of freedom of speech. It's a clear violation of the First Amendment. And the fact that people like you are indifferent towards this. You don't even address the whole Firewatch DMCA thing. The fact that there are so many people, and I've seen it on Twitter, I've seen it everywhere, there's so many people that are just indifferent or support what Sean Vanneman did. And if you think that people censoring racists or censoring people that say the N-word, which is something that you personally agree with and you personally think should happen, what's to say that you're not next? Or that your Weapon Wheel friends aren't next? If they play games, if they play games on their channel, and let's say one day, for whatever reason, they said one thing that the company didn't like, they have the right to take down all your videos and censor your content. So the fact that you're very indifferent towards this because of your personal views against PewDiePie, it just shows how clueless you are. It just shows how much of an imbecile you are. So, this is definitely a problem. That the fact that people are, you think it's a problem that people are defending PewDiePie. But the main reason why people are defending PewDiePie is because of the Firewatch incident. The Firewatch incident is what got me interested in this story. And the Firewatch incident is what got other people involved in this story as well. If it was just, oh, PewDiePie said the N-word, okay, I would not give a shit. I would have not made the last video I made, and I would have not even made this video because it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. But the fact that a game developer is trying to censor someone that they do not personally want to affiliate themselves with, okay, that's fine. If you do not want to affiliate yourself with someone, do not affiliate yourself with someone. But you also need to understand copyright law. You do. And you don't seem to have such knowledge of that.
You can say whatever the hell you want. You can be as racist as you want. Hell, I implore you to be, and to be true to yourself, because I'd rather you be a racist in the open than a racist in the shadows. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. I mean, I've seen comments like, slavery ended 200 years ago. You need to get over it. You need to move on. Well, my good tiki torch wielding friends, slavery.
That's just great. That's just great. You're lumping in everybody who is defending PewDiePie with the people marching in Charlottesville, with the KKK and the neo-Nazis. Everybody who defended PewDiePie is a neo-Nazi and member of the KKK. Give me a fucking break. Honestly. No. Like, at first I was like, okay, you know, this person has a certain opinion about PewDiePie. He thinks that it's wrong that PewDiePie said the N-word. He thinks PewDiePie is a racist for saying the N-word. Okay? Whatever. But to say that everybody who defended PewDiePie, every single person who defended PewDiePie is a tiki torch-wielding Nazi. Sorry to say, Mr. BlackB0nd, you are a piece of shit. You are a piece of shit for saying such a ridiculous thing like that.
Might have ended 200 years ago, but blacks have only recently, within the last 50 years, had the right to vote.
Yes, that's a terrible thing. I do not think that slavery should be forgotten. I think slavery should always be remembered as a vile and disgusting part of our history. But for people alive today to complain about something that they are not personally affected by, yeah, it's just ridiculous. To complain and bitch about something that doesn't affect you anymore. It affected your ancestors that you've never met, that have been in the ground for over a century. But it does not affect you. You don't hear me complaining about Irish slavery 300 years ago, whenever it was. You don't hear me complaining about stuff that my ancestors went through. And the fact that, okay, most of the people that talk about slavery, right? Most of the people that say, you know, that slavery happened and we can't forget slavery and these people demand reparations or whatever, or try to blame white people, all white people, that they should feel guilt for what their ancestors went through. Except they're not my ancestors. They aren't. My ancestors came to this country in the early 1900s, 50 years after slavery happened. Or 40 years, sorry. So my ancestors had nothing to do with this shit. So when there are people that lump all white people together, that you must answer for slavery, it's just ridiculous. Now, I am not trying to presume that you personally have that point of view, although I wouldn't be surprised at this point. But to the people that do, because most of the people that do bring up slavery try to say, oh, we demand reparations and all this other. Because why else would they bring up something that happened years ago, 150 years ago? Because it's not relevant today. It was relevant years ago, 150 years ago when it happened. And yes, that black people were suppressed from voting until 50 years ago. But you were not even a thought when any of this shit was happening. So why are you complaining about it? It's done. It's over.
Only 50 years. My father is only a little bit older than 50 years. And yet, slavery was abolished in 1865. Yet, blacks weren't able to vote for a whole 100 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that.
And
you being free, but you not having any kind of equal rights for 100 years later.
yeah, it's fucked up, but how is this relevant to PewDiePie using that word in a live stream?
People act like this whole thing is ancient history, like to the point where it's the dinosaurs. We don't even know. We have no history or evidence it happened, and yet, like I said, only 50 years ago did we have the right to vote.
Again, no one's denying that it happened or didn't happen. Nobody's denying that it happened. But what people are saying, you know, with what you refer to, the only reason why there's some pushback when people bring up slavery from 150 years ago and voting suppression from 50 years ago is because no one was alive back then. Most of the people that experienced this are dead. The people who experienced voter suppression and segregation, some of them are still alive, but most of the people that are complaining about school segregation and complaining about voter suppression, especially about slavery, they weren't even alive when this shit was going on. So how is it relevant to them is what I'm trying to ask.
But you know what? We should forget about that. Just like the Native Americans should forget about that. Just like...
Now, again, I'm not saying anyone should forget about what happened. But how is it relevant to you? How is it relevant to your life? It's done. It's over. Get over it.
The Jews should forget about that. Everybody, hell, we should all just forget about everything, because those who ignore history are not destined to repeat it, remember?
So you're saying that if we don't talk about slavery every 25 fucking seconds, then we're doomed to bring back slavery, right? That you're going to be up in chains if we don't address slavery. Give me a break.
Look, we're getting a little bit off topic here, but
You think?
there's a reason that people should not be throwing racial slurs, and especially when you are the guy with 54 million subscribers and you hold the responsibility of being the most watched person on YouTube. This is an Xbox Live circa 2002. A lot of those words we used as kids, they're not socially acceptable now. And racism has never been acceptable, period.
Okay. So you spent a whole, like, almost half your video ranting about how we need to address slavery, we need to address voter suppression against blacks that happened years ago. Trying to make a point that racism still exists by saying that everybody who supports PewDiePie is a tiki torch-wielding Nazi. And saying all this ridiculous shit. But then in the same breath, you're saying racism is not socially acceptable, and under any circumstances, racism is not acceptable. So how can you say those two things at the same time? Wouldn't that be a little bit of a contradiction? Because you're complaining about people ignoring slavery and ignoring, what happened to black people years ago when people weren't even alive. People today aren't even alive when any of this shit happened, by the way. You're trying to say that, well, it's obviously racist if we don't talk about this. But at the same time, you're saying, oh, no, well, racism isn't socially acceptable. Like, pick one.
Throw some racial slurs at your job. Tell me how it turns out. I implore you.
Yeah, okay. Again, what does real life have to do with video games?
Go to your place of employment. Throw around these words, and then tell me how it turns out. But I know you won't. You try to act stupid, like nothing will happen, but you know what will happen if you go into work and you start throwing around racial slurs.
Yeah, and what would happen if you went to work and demanded that your white boss answer for slavery? You think that would turn out too well, too? You think that the shit that you say on the internet, like, I'm not comparing, like, okay, I'm not morally equating what you saying to someone using the N-word. Obviously, they're two completely different things. One's obviously worse than the other. But it's the same concept that, well, people say things online and on the internet that they wouldn't dare to say in real life. Would you dare to just every white person you know, all your white friends, all your, everybody white that you affiliate yourself, your white coworkers, your white boss, would you rant for fucking 20 minutes saying that we need to, that they should address slavery and they should address all these things that they're not responsible for? Give me a break.
Now, PewDiePie, he's not a kid, people. He's a 27-year-old man. And it might be unfair that he's under the magnifying glass, but that's the price you pay of fame. And again, like I said before, I am more disappointed in the people defending this guy. And
I still don't understand why that is. Why are you so disappointed in people defending him? When, okay, he said one off-color thing on a live stream. Okay. He didn't go to a fucking Klan rally. He didn't go march in Charlottesville with a tiki torch like you're portraying him to be. So why are you blowing this so out of proportion? If you want to say that, okay, saying the N-word is wrong, okay, that's fine. But to label everybody defending PewDiePie as a racist is not going to help your case. Because, even if you are right, even if you do actually have the moral high ground in this case, which you actually don't, but I'm saying even if you did, you just calling people racist that you don't agree with isn't going to help your cause. Isn't going to help people understand why certain things are wrong. Because now these days, in this society, everything is racist. Everything is racist. So things that are actually racist and things that are actually not good, people aren't going to really to care about it because everything is racist. So when someone says something is racist now, they're going to be less likely to believe it because it's like the boy who cried wolf at this point. People aren't going to really care, you know, like actual neo-Nazis and actual racist people. If you say these people are racist, like, okay, it's not going to actually have any meaning anymore because everybody is racist these days.
And defending the racial slurs more so than he is actually using them.
Okay.
Oh, but it's just a word.
It is.
I keep hearing that it's just a word, but then again, I keep forgetting that white people, the descendants of the oppressors, get to tell us, the descendants of the victims, how we should feel. Like,
yeah, I'm on the hook for something that happened 150 years ago that my ancestors didn't even do, and even if it was my ancestors, those are my ancestors, not me. Your ancestors owned slaves, by the way. A lot of black people own slaves. It's an inconvenient truth for you, but it's still the truth. Yes, white slavery was more prevalent, but there were plenty of black people that had slaves. Who were the people, by the way? Who were the people, by the way, that sold the slaves in the first place? Who supplied the slaves to the Europeans? So you're such a history buff. You must know the answer to this, right? Oh yes, it was their own people that sold them out, put them on slave ships in exchange for weapons and money and all this other shit. So to say that white people are solely responsible for slavery, it's just not true. You claim to be such a history expert, but you don't know shit.
can y'all just let us live without trying to control how we think and feel for once? Can y'all just let us, live without telling us how to think and feel about things that your ancestors did to our ancestors?
Except you're kind of trying to tell us how we should think and feel by saying, well, if you don't agree with this, you are a racist. And the whole Firewatch thing, like I said, trying to control how people think by trying to censor PewDiePie. You don't understand why people are defending PewDiePie. You're really that clueless. I'm like I'm amazed by how clueless you are. I really am. Oh man. There's only 1 minute left of this cancer, so let's just play it through.
Can you do that for me, please? Thank you. I mean, who gave you tiki torch wielding clowns the right to tell others how to feel and think about things? When? When did it happen? You all can say whatever you want. You have the freedom of speech. I implore you to say whatever you want. I implore you to be honest. I implore you to be racist in public. I implore you to be racist at your job. I implore you to be on social media. I implore you to be honest with yourself and to be racist. Because like I said, I'd rather know who you are out in the open than to not know who you are in the shadows. But at the same time, y'all need to accept who and what it is that you really are. And y'all need to stop crying when people call you what you are. And that is what you are, a racist.
Oh man, this is great. He spent 7 minutes and 2 seconds talking about how all white people are racist for defending PewDiePie and trying to generalize white people together. Trying to make he made so much generalizations about white people, but yet we're the racist ones. Defending PewDiePie, giving him the benefit of the doubt for screwing up once. We must be racist. We must be racist. Again, he has done more for black people than you and these other people that are denouncing PewDiePie. These fucking shitty journalists on Kotaku and Game Informer and all these other shitty websites. He has done more for black people than all of you combined have ever done. So again, if he was truly a racist, why would he spend so much money on charity so that black African kids have access to clean drinking water? Again, he could have donated to so many other different charities. And, you could make the case that, well, he's just trying to save face or he's trying to have a good public image if he donated to African children after this incident. But this is years before any of this controversial shit regarding PewDiePie ever happened. Again, actions speak much louder than words. And judging by your words, you are a race-baiting buffoon. And you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.